As another year passes, another anniversary arrives for gaming's favorite Hedgehog. And as such, it's only fitting that I do another Speedpaint for it. This time, it's a sequel to my latest Sonic Speedpaint. The final phase of an incredible boss fight against Metal Sonic, possessed by the End. Of course, if you haven't seen the other one, I'll have it linked in the description. So, where do I begin with the process on this one? Well, sketching and designing the new form for Metal was a bit difficult. As the first phase was Neo Metal made of Titan tech and empowered by the End while remaining in control, I decided to create a final phase in which he lost control and was turned into an absolute monstrosity by the End. We've already seen Metal Sonic become a monster. Metal Overlord is a magnificent foe to face. So why not recreate Metal Overlord, made of Titan tech? More so, parts of him can be visibly made of recreations of parts of specific Titans. And so, I had to decide what parts would be made from what. There wasn't much I could take from Giganto, but his left hand is reminiscent in the end. Wyvern, on the other hand, quite literally, was a perfect replacement for Overlord's claw. Knight was a little more difficult to figure out, but I realized the whip form of its sword, with all its segmented and flexible parts, would be a suitable replacement for Overlord's wings. Finally, on the back of its lower body, I placed a recreation of Supreme's shell, providing additional defense and thrusters for faster flight. Although that's not to say this form keeps up with Sonic as well as before. With the End having taken over, Metal's programming and capabilities are largely lost. Its copying function was used to attain this form, but after that, all that really remains is the End. It's uncertain whether any of Metal Sonic remains beneath this horrific facade, and the mind of a maddened force of nature commanding what may be his robotic corpse. More so, Metal Overlord was never as fast as Sonic to begin with, having traded all that speed for power, defense, and versatility. It did indeed make him a large-scale threat, but always left him with a critical weakness for the more agile and creative opponents. And this is where Sonic holds the upper hand in many ways, but Super Sonic could never be enough to conquer such a foe alone. As such, the theory I proposed in the prequel Speedpaint surfaces again. Sonic's now ascending super forms are working through the color spectrum, bringing it out from within him, locked somewhere beyond his reach, but waiting. As he grows more powerful and gains greater control, the full spectrum of the Emerald's power is unleashed for him bit by bit, until one day, he won't need the Master Emerald or the Altar on Angel Island to achieve the greatness of Hypersonic. He alone, as their greatest wielder, will ascend to the Hyper form with only the Chaos Emeralds, proving himself their perfect vessel to enact great change upon the universe and tip the scales for the greater good. To present Hypersonic, the most difficult part was deciding how to manage his aura and all the colors within. I settled on using some very erratic texture brushes, with a random scattering around this and angle setting, to make the colors randomly dispersed but not overlapping each other much. This made for a very prismatic, chaotic, but bright layer that could easily be laid over the basic white shape I laid out for his lighting and aura. Then, there was the eyes, which I attempted to do the same thing, but the colors ended up blending into the same silver that was in Sonic's eyes when he used his cyber form. at the end of Final Horizons. It simply felt too fitting to not use it. Perhaps this is how that color was chosen in the game's development as well. Perhaps. But this final step completed this magnificent piece. And with its completion, I almost feel it come to life.
Your duplicate is no more. Its envy has led it into oblivion. All that remains is the end.
I know you're too stubborn to let this thing control you. Snap out of it. Come on, Metal, one more race. See if you can keep up with this.
And so, we reach the ultimate climax of the conflict between Sonic and Metal Sonic. In his desperation to overcome the organic being he was designed to conquer and surpass, he accepts a deal with a mad god to achieve that power at any cost. This god, incarnating Oblivion itself, overwhelms him and commands his twisted shell, becoming a monstrosity I like to call ATROPOS, named after the last and cruelest of the Fates. Across from them, Sonic, having achieved his hyper form once more, as he desperately fights to overcome a primordial force of nature on his own, all while attempting to rescue the mind of a foe he's come to see as a valuable rival in some ways, and in others, potentially an estranged brother. We can only hope he manages to save Metal Sonic and turn his life around for the better, and that such a scenario may someday come to pass in the games. But for now, this is the Envoy of Kairos, signing out. And I hope to see you all again soon for another amazing video. Thanks for watching, guys.